So welcome you all for Thumbalangi classes. We are discussing the chapter transmission of heat. In that thermal properties of matter, our topic is transmission of heat. So last class we started. So we have seen there are three methods are there for heat transmission. They are transmission by the method of conduction, transmission by the method of convection. The last one is the radiation. So last class we started regarding the conduction. So how heat transmission will take place by the method of conduction without actual movement of particles of the medium. And this method will take place, heat will transfer by the method of conduction in solids, liquids and also gases also. Whether one metal, one material or one matter having thermal conductivity more or less, that will be decided by coefficient of thermal conductivity K. So last class also we have studied regarding the thermal resistance, the opposition offered for the flow of heat through it. Then we are discussing combination of slabs, grouping of slabs. So last class we completed series combination. Now this class we will discuss regarding parallel combination. Parallel combination. Last class when number of slabs are connected in series, so we have derived the expression for equivalent coefficient of thermal conductivity. Okay, that is whenever two slabs of same length connected in series, then the coefficient of thermal conductivity resultant value numerically equal to harmonic mean or arithmetic mean, harmonic mean of coefficient of thermal conductivity of the individual conductors that we discussed now. Now for this parallel combination, so let us consider there are two slabs. In order to conduct them in parallel, they are of same area, same length, not area of cross-section same. The first one of coefficient of thermal conductivity K1, second one of K2. So first one of area of cross-section A1 and second one of area of cross-section A2. So in order to connect them in parallel, their first ends are joined together, second ends are joined together. The first ends are maintained at a temperature theta1, the second ends are maintained at a temperature theta2. Okay now? So then if theta1 is greater than theta2, then what happens? Heat will transfer from one end to another end. So whereas in this parallel combination, so length value will be same, L value. In this parallel combination, so temperature gradient. What is the meaning of temperature gradient? Rate of fall of temperature with the distance. The temperature gradient will remain constant. Whereas in series combination, heat flow will remain constant. So what does it mean? Theta1 minus theta2 divided by L is equal to constant. Understood? And the amount of heat transfer, amount of heat current. So total heat current will be equal to sum of the heat current across two poles, H1 plus H2. H1 value given by Q by T. So H2 value will be given by H1 value Q1 by T plus Q2 by T. So what is this Q? Total heat transfer. Q1 is heat transfer across first one. Q2 is heat transfer across second. So by the formula we can write this is Kp into A1 plus A2 divided by L. Correct? I am not considering, so I need to consider Q by T formula K into A into theta1 minus theta2 into T divided by L. Any of theta1, theta2 value same. So directly I am writing, or otherwise if you want you can write like this also. So theta1 minus theta2 will be equal to, so what is Q1 value given by K1 into, so A1 into, so what is the temperature difference given by theta1 minus theta2 divided by how much? L plus K2 into, so A2 into theta1 minus theta2 divided by how much? L. According to which formula? The thermal conductivity, amount of heat transfer given by the formula K into A into theta1 minus theta2 divided by L. By using this formula, so I written this. In this theta1 minus theta2 and L value will be cancelled. Then what will be the expression given by Kp value is equal to, so K1 A1 plus K2 into A2 divided by how much now? By A1 plus A2. So this is the formula for coefficient of thermal conductivity of the parallel combination of two rods. When two rods of coefficient of thermal conductivity K1 and K2 connected in parallel, what is the formula for Kp? If there are n number of rods are there, means for Kp formula will be given by K1 A1 plus K2 into A2 plus so and so is one Kn into An divided by how much? By A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus so and so A. Correct? So this is the formula for n number of slabs. For example, if the slabs of same area for slabs of or for, can I call it as identical slabs? If there are slabs are identical, for identical slabs, so what is the formula for Kp? I will write here. Kp given by K1 plus K2 plus K3 plus so and so Kn divided by n. So this is the formula for coefficient of thermal conductivity for n number of identical slabs connected in parallel combination. If there are only two slabs are there, means which is K1 plus K2 divided by 2. So this is called as harmonic mean or arithmetic mean. That is the arithmetic mean. Whereas in series combination, whenever length value is same, the coefficient of thermal conductivity is numerically equal to, so harmonic mean of individual coefficient of thermal conductivities. Whereas in parallel combination, so whenever the area of cross sections are same, then that time the thermal conductivity resultant value is equal to arithmetic mean of individual thermal conductivities. If I want to calculate the thermal resistance, the effective thermal resistance is given by the formula 1 by Rp value is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2. So this is regarding the series and parallel combination. Last class we completed series combination and this class we completed parallel combination. Is it clear now? So series completed or parallel completed. You have to remember for series of equal length, that is of harmonic mean. For parallel of equal area, that is of arithmetic mean. Okay now? So these two formulas are very important for both series and parallel. Okay? So after completion of this, so next one we discuss is, that is growth of ice layer in a pond. Which one? Growth of ice layer on a pond. On a pond. So growth of ice layer, one important topic that is one. Okay na? So what is this is, whenever the surrounding temperature here somewhere, so one lake is there. If the temperature of the surrounding is falling so rapidly, if the temperature is still less than 0 degrees, whenever the temperature value less than 0 degrees, then what happens? The ice layer, the thickness of the ice layer will keep on increase. So now I want to calculate what is the time taken. So time taken for ice layer thickness value to increase to x. If the thickness of the ice layer is increases by x, the time taken given by the formula T is equal to rho into L divided by 2 into K into theta into x square. Actually this is derivation. So derivation not necessary for us, only the formula is required. So here rho is the density of water, L is the latent heat of fusion of ice. So L value given by latent heat of, it is the value which one? Latent heat of fusion of ice. Fusion of ice. Then rho is the density of water. So density of water, and K is the thermal conductivity of ice. Thermal conductivity of ice. Then, so theta is the temperature of surrounding. Temperature of surrounding. So then, what is the formula? So whenever the ice, how much layer? The ice layer should be formed. The thickness of the ice layer to be increased by x. How much ice layer? Before already ice is there. how much thickness has to be increased? X. What is the time taken? But remember, when it will take place means whenever the temperature of the surroundings is less than 0 degrees, then only the water will freeze us. Whenever the water is freezing out, the layer of ice on the water will keep on increasing. In order to increase the layer by x, the time taken is given by the formula rho into L divided by 2 into k into theta into x square. Where rho, I told you now, L is the latent heat of fusion. What is the meaning of latent heat of fusion? The amount of heat required in order to convert the ice into water at 0 degrees. Or it can be also defined as the amount of heat required in order to convert the water into ice at 0 degrees. That heat is called as latent heat of fusion value. Okay now? And remaining all conditions you know that. And in this formula only, if I want to increase the thickness from x1 to x2, the time taken is given by the formula. So T value will be equal to, here I written the formula, in order to increase the thickness from 0 to x, so time taken is given by the formula what I written. Whenever the thickness initially was there x1, to increase the thickness to x2, so what is the time taken given by the formula? T is equal to rho into L divided by 2 into k into theta into x1 square minus x2 square. Otherwise, if x2 greater than x1, so x2 square minus x1 square. This is the formula for which one now? The formula for calculating the time taken. Actually, how we will derive this means, so we will derive this in order to convert the water into ice, it should lose the heat. How much amount of heat loss, that should be calculated. So Q by T value is equal to how much? Q by T is equal to K into A into theta. So temperature of the water is of 0 degrees and temperature of the surroundings is of theta divided by. So what is the thickness value will be given by? The thickness value is equal to x. Okay now? So Q by T, amount of heat escape from the water, is given by K into A into, initially the thickness value is D. Then I can write it as D here. This is Q by T value. So according to latent heat formula, L is equal to Q by M. So Q value is equal to M into L. Then we write Q value is equal to mass can be written as density into volume. So density into volume can be written as area into length. So area value will be given by what? So area is equal to here A into L can be written as D into L. We will equate these both. Derivation not necessary. We will equate these both. By equating that, we can calculate the formula for T there. Time taken formula. Okay, Nana? So this is the expression for time taken to increase the thickness. So to x, or time taken for what purpose? Time taken to increase the thickness from x1 to x2. So this is regarding till now what we studied. That is the method of conduction. Conduction is the method of heat transfer without actual movement of particles of the medium. In most of the solids, the heat will transfer in the form of conduction. Okay now, not only in solids, liquids and gases also can conduct the heat by the method of conduction only. After completion of conduction, now we discuss regarding the second method. What is this method name is convection. So what is convection? Convection is the method of heat transfer with the actual movement of particles of the medium. So in this method of convection, what happens? The particles are permanently displaced from their position. Such a method of heat transfer is called as convection. So in liquids, the heat transfer will take place. Generally, the heat transfer will take place by the method of convection only in liquids. So, in order to take place the method of convection, the separation between the molecules, it is not only in liquids, it is in fluids. In all fluids, so heat convection will take place in all fluids which are capable to flow, like liquids and gases which are capable to flow are called as fluids. In case of fluids, the heat transfer will take place by the method of convection. Why convection method only preferable for the fluids means, in order to take place convection, the separation between the molecules should be high. So due to that reason, in fluids, liquids and gases only, the heat transfer will take place by the method of convection. And on the earth's surface, most of the heat transfer by the method of convection only. If we want to explain one example for the method of convection, you take some water in a container, you start heating. So when you start heating, the molecules which are there at the bottom, they will get heated up. When they get heated up, their volume increases, density decreases. Because of the lesser density, so what happens? Those molecules at the bottom, they will come to top. So at the top already molecules are there which are of less temperature at high density. That molecule from the top will reaches to where bottom. So molecules are going from bottom to top and top to bottom. So this process will continue until the total container will attain, total liquid inside the container will attain the same temperature. Are you getting that? So until that time, this particle movement will continue. Okay. So this is the method of which one? Convection. So this method of convection is of again two types are there. What are the two methods of convection is? So convection is of two types. One is of natural convection and other is of forced convection. What is the meaning of natural convection? So in case of natural convection, the transfer of particles will take place due to the difference in their densities. So under the effect of gravity. Generally, in this natural convection, so what is the reason? Whenever you take the water, when you started heating, so then what happens? Whenever temperature, when you supplying heat, those molecules which will get heated up, so which will become less denser, that molecule will go to top. Now, the molecules which are there at the top, which are of higher denser, due to earth gravity, they will come to down. So, what does it mean is, in case of this natural convection, so heat transfer will take place by the actual movement of particles of the medium under the effect of gravity. The gravity will play a very important role in case of natural convection. The example for natural convection is ventilators. So ventilators will work on the principle of natural convection only. Land breezing or sea breezing. Land breezing or sea breezing in the sense. So sometimes so wind will flow from water to land. When you go near to any ocean areas, so daytime wind will flow from water to land. Night time also that difference will be there. In what direction? So what that air will flow. So whether it is land breeze or whether it is sea breeze. Land breeze means air will flow from land to water. Sea breeze means air will flow from water to that is land. That land breeze and sea breeze will occur. So due to this natural convection only. Are you getting around? In this natural convection, the particles of the medium will be transferred under the effect of gravity. This natural convection will not take place where in gravity free spaces. Like you take any artificial satellite, or in that artificial satellite, so that is gravity free space. In that gravity free space, so natural convection will not take place. And this natural convection will occur from bottom to top. Because of the gravity, the molecules will start moving from bottom to top. And heat will flow from, so molecules will flow from top to bottom. Are you getting up? So molecules are moving under gravity, so top to bottom. Heat will flow from bottom to top. Okay, so that is the method of which one? Natural convection. And what about the forced convection? In this forced convection, by using some devices, by using some pump, fan, so we can make a fluid to flow from particles of the fluid to flow from one place to another place. Such a convection is called as what? Forced convection. The example for the forced convection is our human body. Our body temperature can be maintained by pumping of blood. The blood will not, though if I stand, the blood will not flow only always in downward direction. If the blood is flowing only in one downward direction, the total bed position should be of bottom only. But because of the heart heart there, it will play the role so for making the blood to flow in upward direction also. So that is which convection? Forced convection. And if you take the air conditions, so in the air conditions also, so forcibly air will be pumped. If you want to warm a room, then what we need? We need to pump one hot air into the room. So such a type of convection is called as forced convection. Are you getting up? So this forced convection will take place in any direction. There is no particular direction for forced convection. Whereas for the natural convection, so what happens? Heat will flow, particles will move from top to bottom. Heat will flow from bottom to top. Natural convection always will occur vertically, whereas the forced convection can occur in any other direction. The next point I want to calculate. Now, for example, for this room, one window is there. So, through that window, how much heat can be, how much fluid can be escape by the method of convection. The rate of heat transfer by the method of convection is given by the formula. So, dq by dt by the method of which one? Convection is given by, so which is equal to A into H into delta theta. What is A is area of contact. How much area was in contact, the fluid can escape. So that is area. So where capital A stands for area of contact. Are you getting up? Area of contact. And delta theta is the temperature difference between the body and surrounding. Temperature difference between the body and the surroundings. How much heat can be escaped by the method of convection is given by that formula. And H is called as, so, convection constant or coefficient of convection or convection coefficient. This value is different for different fluids. This value depends upon property of fluids. So what are the properties of fluids? Like its density, viscosity, specific heat capacity. So those are the properties on which this convection coefficient value depends upon. Are you getting it? So how much heat can be transferred by the method of convection is given by this. And this is the information regarding the convection. So what is the major difference between conduction and convection? In conduction, heat transfer will take place without actual movement of particles of the medium. Whereas in convection, heat transfer will take place by the method of actual movement of particles of the medium. So this is the major difference between conduction and convection. After completion of conduction and convection, so we will discuss the last method. What is that? Is radiation. Transfer of heat by the method of radiation. Okay, now? Transfer of heat by the method of radiation. Then, if the heat is transferred without any intervening medium, without presence of any medium helper, if the heat can transfer, that method of heat transfer is called as what? Radiation. So, radiation, for the propagation of heat by the method of radiation, so medium is not required. Okay, now? The heat energy radiated by the method of radiation is also called as radiant energy. It is also called as radiant energy or thermal radiation. Thermal radiation, or it is also called as radiant energy. What is radiant energy? What is thermal radiation or radiant energy? The heat energy which is transmitted by the method of radiation is called as thermal radiation or radiant energy. The amount of thermal radiation emitted, amount of radiant energy emitted depends upon emitted by a body depends upon the first factor is so nature of surface of the body, the first factor, and it depends upon the temperature of the body. So temperature of the body and also surrounding temperature also very important. And the third factor is it also depends upon so surface area of the body, surface area of the emitting body of the body. These are the three factors on which the thermal radiation emitted by a body depends upon. So what is the first factor? It depends upon the nature of surface of the emitting body, surface of the body. The second one is it depends upon the temperature of the body and the surroundings, and it depends upon the surface area of the body. So these are the factors on which thermal radiation emitted by a body depends. So next one is the properties of thermal radiation. Properties of which one? Thermal radiation. Thermal radiation, which are the properties exhibited? That properties are given by the first one is thermal radiation belongs to so invisible electromagnetic radiation. So electromagnetic radiation emitted by the hot body. So hot body which is emitting heat in the form of thermal radiation that belongs to electromagnetic spectrum. So invisible electromagnetic radiation, and so it belongs to the wavelength range of so it belongs to this electromagnetic radiation belongs to infrared region of this electromagnetic spectrum with the wavelength range 4.5 into 10 to the power of minus 4 meters to so 7.4 into 7.5 into 10 to the power of minus 7 meters. In electromagnetic radiation, there are several spectrum, there are several regions are ultraviolet, infrared, visible. So this thermal radiation belongs to which region? Infrared region. So every region has one particular wavelength value. So what is the wavelength value of this one given by 4 into 10 to the power of minus 4 meters to 7.5 into 10 to the power of minus 7 meters. This is the wavelength range. And the third one is this thermal radiation can propagate through vacuum with a velocity of light which is 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. What does it mean? Thermal radiation can transfer with a velocity of light. So sun is emitting the heat in the form of thermal radiation because in between the sun and earth so much space is there. Only atmosphere will be there up to certain height only. So most of the space is empty only, no medium. So though there is no medium, but we will get a heat from the sun by the method of thermal radiation. So that thermal radiation can travel with the velocity of light. Due to that reason, so the distance between the sun and earth will be a very large, but within a few minutes. So maximum time taken for the light to reach from the sun to earth is maximum of 8 minutes. Because it can travel with a velocity of 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. Whereas it can also propagate in other mediums also. If medium present also, the thermal radiation will propagate, but velocity will be less than 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. The thermal radiation can propagate through medium without affecting it, but velocity value not same as that of velocity which is in vacuum. Are you getting up? So this is the third property, and the fourth property is thermal radiation will obey inverse square law. So what is inverse square law means? The intensity of thermal radiation inversely proportional to square of the distance or from the source. So when distance is changing, what happens to the intensity value? Varies. So intensity inversely proportional to square of the distance. Fifth property, thermal radiation will exhibit the phenomena like reflection, refraction, so interference, reflection, refraction, interference, diffraction, and also polarization. These are the properties exhibited by the light. The same properties can be also exhibited by thermal radiation. So you know what is reflection. Whenever thermal radiation incident on a reflecting surface, it will come back. So similarly refraction, traveling from one medium to another medium, bending. Like there are properties are there. These properties you will come to know in the ray optics chapter. So these are the properties of light. The same properties are exhibited by thermal radiation also. So one more property is given by, so the spectrum of thermal radiation can be obtained by a prism made up of rock salt or KCl. So whenever a thermal radiation incident on a prism which is made up of rock salt or which is KCl, then what happens? We will obtain the spectrum of thermal radiation. So that can be obtained by this thermal radiation. Okay now. So this is the few properties still are there. Thermal radiation can be detected by thermopile and it is also detected by bolometer. Like devices are there which are used to detect the thermal radiation. So these are the properties of this one thermal radiation. Okay, the heat energy which is transmitted by the method of radiation is called as thermal radiation. And these are the properties on which amount of thermal radiation emitted by a body depends. And these are the properties of which one thermal radiation. So after completion of the properties of thermal radiation, so for last topic for this today class, we will discuss regarding the Prevost theory. What is the Prevost theory of thermal radiation? Okay na? So Prevost theory of thermal radiation. What is Prevost theory of thermal radiation? The scientist the Prevost, so he has studied the thermal radiation emitted by the different bodies, and he has given one theory. So this theory name is called as Prevost theory. According to this theory, every body whose temperature is greater than absolute zero. So what is absolute zero temperature? Minus 273 degrees Celsius. At a temperature is greater than the 273 degrees Celsius, every body will emit the heat in the form of thermal radiation. Generally, we come to know that up till now, what is the knowledge we have is, so every body, a hotter body will emit the radiation, will emit the heat, and cold body will absorb the heat. But according to this theory, every body, so whose temperature is above the absolute zero temperature, this temperature is called as absolute zero temperature, so will emit the heat in the form of thermal radiation. But the quantity of thermal radiation emitted by the body depends upon the nature of the surface and temperature of the body. All bodies are not capable to emit same amount of thermal radiation. The quantity of thermal radiation emitted depends upon nature of the surface and temperature. For suppose if the temperature of A is 50 degrees Celsius and temperature of B is 20 degrees Celsius, according to this theory, A also will emit the thermal radiation, B also will emit the thermal radiation. A also absorbs the thermal radiation, B also absorbs the thermal radiation. But the thermal radiation emitted by A is more and the thermal radiation emitted by B is less. Why? Because temperature of A is greater than temperature of B. That's why A will emit more heat, more thermal radiation than what of B. So A will absorb less thermal radiation because B emitting less radiation. A absorb less radiation whereas B absorb more radiation. What does it mean? A giving more radiation, taking less radiation, whereas B so giving less radiation and taking more radiation. Due to that reason, the temperature of air will keep on falling. Whenever thermal radiation emitted, then what happened? The temperature of the body keep on falling. And what happened to the temperature of B will keep on increase. This process will continue until the temperature of A will become the temperature of B. Thermal equilibrium. Whenever a thermal equilibrium is obtained, we will think that there is no transfer of heat, there is no exchange of heat. At this thermal equilibrium, what happens? The quantity of radiation emitted by A and the quantity of radiation emitted by B both are same. Obviously, the quantity of radiation absorbed by A and the quantity of radiation absorbed by B, so both are same. That time the temperatures of A and B will not change. It will remain constant. By the method of conduction or convection, we will think that so if the two bodies are at same temperature, there is no heat transfer. But according to this radiation method, though the two bodies are at same temperature, there is a exchange of thermal radiation. But though there is a exchange of thermal radiation, heat and temperature will remain constant. The reason behind it is, so the quantity of heat radiation emitted and quantity of heat radiation absorbed by the body will same. Due to that reason, the temperature will remain same. So, because of the Prevost theory, what is the conclusion we come to know is, every body which is above absolute zero temperature will emit the heat in the form of thermal radiation. Only the difference is the quantity of thermal radiation is more whenever temperature of the body is more. The quantity of thermal radiation is less whenever the temperature of the body is less. Getting up? So that is the conclusion of which one? Prevost theory. After completion of the Prevost theory, still few more topics are there. So that regarding tomorrow class we will continue. Okay na? So thank you.